Hi, I'm David Hutchinson. I'm a building contractor and I'm a self-confessed Porsche nutter, car enthusiast and collector of Porsches. My love of Porsche started in the mid-80s, I would say. The love of 911 was probably a little bit out of my reach until my sort of mid-20s, and I was lucky enough to purchase my first 911, which is a 1978 SC, which I still have to this day. Of course, the car behind me is a 77 Turbo that we're here to talk about today, and this was a dream car back in the day, an absolute passion of mine to one day own, especially a Turbo, which is iconic of someone from my age group and even the younger age groups. It's an absolute joy, and I think anyone that's into Porsches will totally get just by the look of it, and especially when you drive them, they are amazing. I tend to try and drive it as much as possible. It was first on the road in September last year after the long restoration. It still needs some fettling and some bits and pieces, but to me, it's the iconic Porsche. I am fortunate enough to own a few others and have owned various 911s over the years, but the Turbo and this particular earlier Turbo is just an absolute joy. So the early turbos, 75, 76 and 77 were 3 litres. This was pre-intercooler before they turned to the bigger engine of 3.3. This particular car was supplied to the US, and in the US they were badged as Carrera Turbos. So this has got a quite interesting history. I bought this directly from a very famous racing driver called Dick Barber, who many of you know who Porsche is. He owned and raced and campaigned the Hawaiian Tropic 935 Turbo Porsche that famously raced in 1979 with a teammate of Paul Newman. He's a lovely, lovely fella. He's now in his 80s, and I actually purchased this. We started to do negotiations in 2021, but by the time it came to me it was 22 because of the COVID restrictions. And the way it arrived was the bodywork was done, albeit that it did still need some work, but the car was in boxes. Unpacking all the boxes, it was apparent that a lot of stuff was missing. So this is where Design 911 came in. We had to source and purchase many different rare parts. And I'll be honest, Design 911 came up with most of the parts, apart from a few rarities that we had to source elsewhere. The interior has been totally retrimmed, and the car is a matching number, and it's been restored to specification as it came out the factory. So the interior trim is correct. The wheels were an option to have gold, which I decided to go for, and of course the retro period turbo striping down the side. The car is an absolute joy to drive. People do get caught out with them, and I can understand why, but you have to drive it within its limits, know what you're doing. It's always best, especially around country lanes like where I live here, is to keep it mainly in second gear. In second gear, you'll have as much fun and you'll stay with most modern Porsches, and it's an absolute joy to drive. There's restoration. I've always got a project on the go, which I absolutely love. I'd be bored without a project. And getting parts, certain parts can be difficult, but generally, for example, Design 911 is almost a one-stop shop. You can get a modern exhaust bracket for your one-year-old Carrera T, or you can go right back to a 60s trim kit. They're fantastic. I tend to speak to people rather than order online, and I can always get through to someone, and I find them reasonable, always well priced, and they tend to now sell, you can get genuine parts, you can get almost genuine, and you can always get now custom parts. They're sort of moving into sort of custom areas as well. So being in the Porsche community and Porsche world, there's plenty of clubs. There's of course the Porsche GB club, which I've been a member of for many years, but also there's lots of smaller spin-off clubs, and I'm in a fantastic club in Hertfordshire, which is the RPOC, the Red Bull and Porsche Owners Club, which I've been a member of a few years now, and we do lots of driving out, organise lots of events, meet lots of great people, like-minded people, and that is the beauty with these cars, is that you meet people that have the same passion and drive and spend lots of crazy money on cars like I tend to do. I've got a few projects that are underway. I've got a 72 that's 911 oil clapper that's almost finished restoration, and a 69 hot rod being built. But I've got a little 914 that's just arrived from the States that's needs total restoration, but that's more of a winter. I will strip it down. I will outsource the bodywork and engine work, but I just love tinkering and putting back together. So I've got plenty of projects to keep me out of trouble throughout the winter months and for many years to come. There's always, with any restoration, there's always going to be fettling to do, and this car needs a little bit more. There's things I'm not happy with, but you know, it's almost there, and it's pretty much to how I want it and how I'm going to keep it, and hopefully, you know, get on and enjoy it for years to come. You know, you can do what you want to a Porsche, and you can outlaw them, and you can customize them, you can put your own twist on them, and it's probably the only brand that has this ability, and such a large following as well. So that's really what I love about the brand, and I'll always be Porsche through and through.